Hey everyone, Marc Bates here. We're going to start something new. I'm calling these Marc Bates' ketovore tips. These are tips that I use virtually every day in my own diet in eating a carnivore ketogenic type diet, right? And so the first one I want to talk about is yogurt. Now, eating yogurt is definitely a good thing, I feel, especially if you are getting into the ketogenic ketovore type of diet, and you want to add some additional high quality fat and protein into your diet, right? So what I use when I make my yogurt is half and half, and the great thing about half and half is if you take a cup of half and half, and that's my normal size for the yogurt, you get 7 to 8 grams of protein and 28 grams of fat, right? And you add that to the normal meat. And so what I typically eat as a general product is 80-20 ground beef. So if you eat 80-20 ground beef, right, you eat basically a pound of that, and then 1 cup of yogurt, right, which adds additional fat and some protein to what you're eating, you get a beautiful ratio of basically 80% fat to 20% protein calories, right? And that's one of the things that from a ketogenic ketovore diet we're looking for, is that ratio of 75 to 80% of the caloric amount is fat and 20 to 25% is protein. So you're right there, right, with 80-20 and this. And it's not that expensive. A good high quality 80-20 is what, for me, it's a $5.50 a pound. And then for this, half and half, a half gallon, 64 ounces of half and half is about $4, maybe less, depending on how the quality, and always as much as you can buy the high quality. Okay, the end result product is relatively thick. It's nice and creamy. It's not quite Greek yogurt texture, though it's close. And I could turn this into a Greek yogurt quite easily by doing a couple changes in the steps, but my kids don't particularly like those changes, right? But half and half. And then the one ingredient that's going to cost a little bit. Now, these are all based upon Dr. William Davis, and he wrote the book Wheat Belly. And it's the elderberry yogurt, or in my particular case, I use the alternative that he has, which is the probiotic bacteria. And I'll explain why I use this one, not the elderberry. So the elderberry is about $24-25 for a bottle, about 60 capsules, and the probiotic is about $50. So it's a little more expensive. That's the most expensive thing you'll have in doing this. So in making this yogurt, I take a half gallon of half and half, right? Divide that up into 2 32-ounce portions, and I put 2 capsules of the probiotic or 2 capsules of the elderberry into the half and half. Mix it up well, right? Open the capsules, pour it in, mix it up well, and put them into, split it out over multiple mason jars, right? I'll do the whole half gallon, so I'll get 4 or 5 mason jars. I use smaller mason jars as well, so you get a whole bunch. Then what you do is you take those mason jars with the mixed in bacteria, and for me, I put it in my dehydrator, because it has a beautiful low heat setting of 100 degrees, and I put them in there and I let them go for 24 hours, right? You can use the oven. It takes a little bit more work here because you have to heat it up, make sure the temperature doesn't get much above 110 inside the oven. Shut off the heat, put the yogurt in there, close the door, don't try to open it. If you have a oven thermometer, especially an electronic one that sits outside, monitor the temperature. When it gets much below 95, turn the heat back on, get the heat back up to about 110 maximum, right? Turn the heat off, and you just have to monitor that, try and keep it at that 100 degrees is what I'm looking for, right? And you want to do that for about 24 hours. And you can also use a Instapot. They have a yogurt temperature, but it's usually about 110, 120, I found, measuring the temperature, and that's a little too high. You want to keep the temperature below 110 if at all possible, right? So find something that you can do that, or a yogurt maker, which those usually cost about 40, 50 bucks, let's say. But you don't get the convenience of necessarily having it in nice mason jar size. Mason jars are what? A couple bucks. Okay, so you put the half and half with the bacteria in it. I go 24 hours, right? If you're doing the El Rotary, you want to go at least 36 hours to up to 48 hours, okay? And you get a nice end product. Now, what happens is in that time frame, the bacteria eats up what lactose there is in the half and half. So there is essentially no carbohydrates left in this product. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that from a carbohydrate standpoint. You only look at the protein and fat in there. Now, there are some quite beneficial acids and probiotics that are generated here, but once again, if you look at my videos on probiotics, they usually don't survive the stomach, so you're not going to get like a good repopulation of your intestines. With these probiotics, they will help. They will help a little bit, right? So a few of them always get through. But the idea is that if you're eating this for the probiotic benefit, you're going to need to eat it every day. I eat it every day as well, but you're going to need to eat a lot every day just to get that big probiotic one. I'm looking for having a beautiful source of protein and fat, because the protein is primarily whey protein, being from milk. And so that's what you get. And then, of course, the fat are all the dairy fats. Very high in saturated fats, very good high quality fats for you. Your body loves dairy fats. It doesn't like a lot of the dairy proteins for those who are sensitive to dairy. So this may not be appropriate if you're sensitive to dairy. Okay? Just work that out for yourself. Now, what's really wonderful about this is that once you have your first batch of yogurt, second batch, you take basically, I use 1 tablespoon to 2 let's call it 2 tablespoons. 1 really big heaping tablespoon or two regular tablespoons of the previous yogurt base. Put that into your 32-ounce blender with a quart of half and half. Mix it up well so it's thoroughly mixed. Put it back into the jar. 24 hours in the dehydrator to keep the temperature, keep it warm for at least a day. Now, a couple reasons why I prefer this one over the El Rotary, and I've been making El Rotary for a long time as well. This one seems to be much more stable. I've never had a bad batch, right? From the first batch to the subsequent ones to come after it, they're all nice, rich, and creamy. They don't separate. There's no issues. The El Rotary, especially the very first batch, has a tendency to separate. You can eat it, but my kids don't like that. Okay, they don't like having the extra liquid in there. And you can drain it out, and you can strain it, and all that. That's just more work than I want to do, right? And the El Rotary doesn't make additional batches quite as well. Okay, and so you end up having to supplement your base yogurt maybe every month, every 2 months, right? With the El Rotary, so you're taking another one of those capsules. You don't need to use 2, right? Per 32 ounce that you're making, and just reboost it. Where with the Therabiotic, I routinely reboost it. But once again, I reboost once a month, maybe once every 6 weeks or so. when it looks like it's getting just a little thin. And there have been times I have not reboosted it for a couple of months, and works great. And so this one bottle lasts a long time. Just keep it in the freezer, keep it sealed and in the freezer, and you're good to go with that. Now, you get this wonderful yogurt product, you get wonderful protein and fat to supplement the meat that you're eating, right? You get the probiotics, and the Therabiotic produces almost as much of the hereditary type probiotics. So, that's what you're looking for. I'm looking for the ease of use and stabilization, right? You get those. And once again, a half gallon of half and half, about $4. How much Greek yogurt would you buy to equal that, right? It's quite a bit. So you don't have to really worry about cost. Cost is going to be less with this, right? It's easy to control, and the cost is very low. With the hereditary, it takes longer for that bacteria to activate properly. That's why it's 36 to 48 hours. Okay, now, the other thing about the hereditary is that fermenting that long, it tends to have a little bit more of a sour or tartness to it that my kids don't particularly care for. They love this. And I make a very simple blueberry sauce. Just some frozen blueberries, cook them down, right? Grind them up. I throw a little bit of allulose to sweeten it up, and the kids just love that, though you don't need to. The yogurt tastes great by itself. In either case, right? My kids don't particularly care for the tartness of the hereditary yogurt. They love the Therabiotic, so it's another reason I switched to the Therabiotic. Now, if you want to make this more of a Greek yogurt, right, and more of or if you really like it super tart, and some people really like their yogurt super tart, you can add some additional carbohydrates to your base mix. You can use inulin powder, which is the basic carbohydrate that's processed from artichoke hearts. You could use Bob Redmill's potato starch, right? Because you put a tablespoon of that in a 32-ounce thing of half and half. Make sure you go at least 36 to 48 hours. That gives the bacteria more time to eat up all the carbohydrates. So you don't want the carbohydrates, you want the bacteria to eat it. That adds that. You get a very tart flavor from that. People do that thinking that they're getting more of the bacteria for the probiotic effect. Once again, go back to my probiotic videos. I don't think you get much of an effect from that, so I don't bother with that. And my kids don't like the extra tartness, and so part of this, I want my kids to eat this. So very quick, very easy, very inexpensive product. Adds a cup a day, right? 7 to 8 grams of high quality whey protein, mostly whey protein, 28 grams of fat. Bumps up the fat in my daily intake with my maybe mostly 80-20 hamburger, or a good New York cut steak or something, or a ribeye, which is just going to be a little bit higher in fat, but still get the fat up. And it works great, cheap, and easy. Hope that helps.